Okie doke. All right, let's do the little thing.
Oh no, it's finally happening. Is it the cholera? Is it the typhoid?
It's the typhoid. No. It's the COVID. It's all the sea diseases. It's just, it's all of them, and I don't know what to do. I mean,
got a miasmatic cocktail.
It's the asthmatic cocktail. I was born with slight asthma, and like it's all coming back. And the more my throat parches, the more depressed I get, and I can't figure out like anything for me to. Oh,
what is that?
Wait a minute!
Look over there. It's a little friend right in the corner of your screen.
It's a little friend. Hi, little friend. What's your name? My name's TK.
Oh, wow.
Hi, TK. What's your purpose? Well, I heard about you guys having a hard time with all the craziness and the diseases, and I'm here to tell you that
to fix it all. Wow, TK, that's ambitious. Where have you been this whole time?
I've been lingering in the back. I noticed that you guys had some troubles, and I know that the world's in trouble. And I just wanted to tell you that I have tea, and I'm just as good as any vaccine. I'm good as Pfizer.
Oh, really? It's good. It's good as vaccines.
Oh yeah. I know the stock market is going crazy, but if that was one thing to invest in, I'll be the one, and I'll solve all your problems.
Okay, TK, wow. I do need you to now look at the camera. TK, I'm talking to TK, not to Tony.
Yeah. Okay.
I need you to look in the camera and say that you do not endorse people not getting vaccines. I need you to confirm that you are pro COVID-19 vaccination.
I am pro whatever gives me more money, but since you have given me the time, I don't know about this. No. If you've given me the time, I guess I'll say that I'm pro all the vaccinations.
Okay, thanks, TK. That puts me my mind at least a little bit more ease, even if I do suspect that you're going to go turn around and say whatever it is on whatever other show that will give you more money.
Oh, no. You guys are the only ones that I'll listen to. Just make sure you leave the link of where you can buy me and my friends at a later date. But I will absolutely only be endorsing my product on your show, and I always will say the things that you guys want me to say and nothing else. All right?
Okay, great. Now, TK, okay. I need you to back off so I can address Tony this time.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna dip out. Okay, so.
Okay, yeah, dip for just a second.
All right, I'll see you guys for a little bit. Hey, Joe Rogan? Oh, Joe Rogan. Oh, yes. Oh, no, I don't like vaccines. I don't know what you're talking about.
Damn it, Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I know. Joe Rogan, he takes over everything.
He's got everything. He's got the podcast market cornered, even when we thought we had the one thing that he didn't have. But anyway, now as my co-host, I need you, for legal purposes, to say that none of the opinions from either podcasters or their imitations of certain products are necessarily representative of the brands reflected in this episode.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Now, if I were a separate entity that had nothing to do with these podcasts, I would say like absolutely for certain. Well, not absolutely. Yes. Yeah. What you said. That's the most political we've ever been.
That's the most political we've ever gotten. We're just saying that we really like TK, and in a separate breath, also go get your vaccinations.
Go get your vaccinations. I would say that, but I cannot speak for the person that birthed TK's. I'm going to say yes. He says the same,
but that's okay.
And
anyway,
that's okay.
We're moving on. That's not why we're here.
Moving on.
That's another podcast.
Dude, WandaVision,
though, on a very special episode.
It didn't get canceled. I thought that they were in trouble, but it's still trucking along. I'm kind of shocked.
It's almost like they filmed the entire thing years ago, and it's only now getting released. And there's
they had a plan,
or something. And what was that plan like? We're going to assume that the listener here has just already watched this. We're going to save a lot of time by not recapping stuff, because if you're listening to this, then you've probably watched the show.
You probably watched the show, so I'm not even gonna. I will automatically say if you didn't watch it, don't watch this show. But now in episode 4, 5. Wow, that was quick. Oh wow, there's only a few left. What 80s or 60s, 70s?
We're into 80s on this one.
Spin-off episode 80s. That's 4th. Whatever, the new episode.
Well, there was 50s and 60s were the first two.
50s and 60s, 70s, S.W.O.R.D, and now 80s.
Which S.W.O.R.D is basically just its own genre.
It's just S.W.O.R.D.
It's just S.W.O.R.D. So, a quick recap of not just where the show is at now, but where we are at on the show. I thought that the first 3 episodes were brilliant. I thought that episode 4 was just kind of there. It just sort of existed. And
everyone disagreed with us. If you look at the views, no one watched. People watched it last episode, but I think that they heard like, oh, they didn't like it, and we all loved it. So let's just not give them a chance. But that's kind of what I assumed was going to happen.
I think this one finally hits a little bit more of a stride. With balancing the grander narrative with the little episodic narratives, because it has a little bit more jumping back and forth between Wanda's world and the Agents of S.W.O.R.D kind of interacting.
Last week we discussed that we wanted to go back to. I said that I thought that they were going to go straight back to regular WandaVision, where you don't see S.W.O.R.D, maybe one episode they'll concentrate back on the S.W.O.R.D, but apparently they decided to make it both, which I figured was going to happen, but that's okay with me because we're on a compromise basically. And even though I don't like I like S.W.O.R.D only for Monica Rambeau because of the acting, and I like that character. I think it's strong. And I like Agent Wu.
Some of us don't, but you do.
Some of us don't, and that's okay. We're all entitled to our wrong opinions. But exactly. But no, it was overall it was a pretty solid episode. I did dig that they jumped back and forth, and they definitely made some strides. Do you have any favorite moments that come to mind?
Yeah, the 2 favorite moments for me. One is Wanda and Vision, who I think that overall what I found fun about this episode is that Wanda and Vision are now sort of catching on to the internal logic of their world, much like the viewer is. So there are times one of the central like gags in this is that a puppy shows up and Vision says, no, they can't have a puppy. Oh, you know what? Let me back up a second here because I'm not explaining this very well. Vision is now wary of Wanda having control over this entire world and that she's not telling him something. At the same time, both of them are kind of like realizing from the previous episode that their children are like now aging like really spontaneously and conveniently. So there's one moment where they can't get the kids to go down to bed, and their neighbor comes in, Catherine Hahn, and she kind of says like, oh, you know, I can watch them. And Vision is sort of trying to like throw Catherine Hahn
comedically put it away,
but actually being serious. And Wanda is trying to say, oh no, like she can take the kids. Let's give her a shot. And then Catherine Hahn looks at the two of them and is like, do you want me to do the take again? And
we got the audience laugh her out.
Audience laugh her out, and Vision's like, no, things are weird. And there's this just super odd back and forth while there's still totally inappropriate canned audience laughter and things like that. So
that was my favorite moment of the episode. I like when shit
great. I think that that is kind of where this episode goes in general, because there are other really great moments that are just like a total clash of what the characters are trying to do and what the show, like the internal show, is trying to do. So that was great. I think the other point that's like that I really, really dug was during the credits when Vision starts kind of following Wanda through the house, like screaming, telling her what's going on. And there's like this upbeat music going on and like credits rolling over it all while it's
he's trying to like escape this. Like, no, stop rolling. I almost wish he said, stop rolling the credits. Let's fucking stop.
Yeah. I think that,
they almost battle in that scene.
Paul Bettany's performance is just getting like manic again. Again, it's a total departure from Vision as we knew him in the films to being like really scared and really emboldened in this episode. And, as always, I think the strongest aspects of this whole dang show is just Elizabeth Olsen, Paul Bettany, Wanda and Vision, their characters, and the little conceit of them going through a different genre of sitcoms every episode. That's the strongest point. Anytime it diverges from that, I'm kind of like, whatever. But this episode does do a better job of weaving in that kind of like satirical, surreal satire, and then the sort of crowd pleasing superhero whatnot.
Yes, I think this compromise of them going back and forth is tolerable and still fun. I still don't like Kat Dennings. I'm not surprised. Like everyone's talking about an X-Files-ish type of spin-off with Wu and her, and I'm like, no thanks. For one, when you have a comedic character, if you showcase that character as the leading man, rarely does it work. But in general, no, I'm good. But we now have the captain of, or the helm of S.W.O.R.D, who I can't remember his name, but he's the acting director, and we have now another villain because he is starting to do things that Captain Monica Rambeau does not like. For instance, when they send in the drone, he's like, "Okay, take the shot."
Yeah, she's like, "What?" That's Director Hayward.
Director Hayward, yeah,
right. So Rambeau thinks that she's piloting a drone in just to connect with Wanda and be able to talk to her. And when the situation doesn't go as they all intended, Hayward starts shouting, "Take the shot!" And Monica Rambeau doesn't realize that the drone was armed. So that's kind of it's a little bit of a second act tipping point where there was almost like the beginning of a peaceful resolve that then one antagonistic character sort of usurps and makes the situation worse. So I think that that's what narratively this episode achieves, along with Vision kind of confronting Wanda on her control or her not telling him what's going on.
Yeah. And since they vilify the director Hayward, you have actually this was kind of an edge on your scene of Wanda exiting Westview to be like, "Hey, stop this. What are you doing?" And I like that Monica goes, "You know that I'm an ally." So I dig that now that there's more of a connection between Wanda and Monica. I didn't like that they brought back her accent. Yeah, because if you
weird.
So what the MCU did with her characters, each movie, the first movie, she had a very thick accent, which was fine. And then the next movie, it started to get less and less noticeable. And it was basically gone in Endgame, and it was definitely gone in the program WandaVision. Right. But then they bring it back like a lot more.
Jarring. It's so caricatured and jarring.
It's like someone noticed that, hey, the film that she was in after Age of Ultron, which would be Civil War, she started to lose her accent. Why did we do that? And the voice of reason's in the back, like, well, first of all, it's easier on the actress. It sounds less hokey for her to be doing this accent. Two, it's believable because she is adjusting to an American accent. And I'm not saying don't have, if a person doesn't have that accent and it's very, very like strong, if you make the decision to have that accent go away, stick by it. Unless it's essential to the plot, which I don't think is going to come up again. I think that they're just going to do this. There was no reason for it. It was very confusing, and it kind of drew my attention to that accent more than what she was saying. So that was kind of annoying, but yeah. I did like that there was more of a warning with that. I like that she exited. I do like all the things that we're toying with. I do like that Vision is coming out of this.
The stupor.
Coming out. The stupor. I like that the scene with him and his coworker where he wakes up the coworker. He's like, help me.
That's right.
She's torturing all of us. Yeah. So I like that. It's moving fast, and I do dig that a lot. I thought it was going to happen slower, but then again, I forgot this was episode 5. So this all makes sense. They're placing it all correctly, and they're doing the toying with the audience thing very satisfyingly, which I was scared after last week's episode of Just S.W.O.R.D that they were going to start walking away from, but no, it looks like the showrunner is still sticking with her guns of, no, we need to continue toying with this and kind of make it not really horror, but like kind of scary at points.
Yeah. And I think that honestly, that seems more like the original Vision, and the stuff with the S.W.O.R.D agents feels more like boardroom of investors saying like, this is what's going to lose people and whatnot. Because I think back to the scene that you just described with Vision sort of waking up his coworker from the
Wanda's mind thing,
from Wanda's mind control, and the coworker being like, I can't do anything. Where's my wife? Being like really agitated and saying like it hurts. And I just think back to the impact that scene would have had if we didn't have an entire episode of S.W.O.R.D related stuff and like so much of this world revealed to us before that scene. It almost feels like that scene was written much further before all of this other stuff with S.W.O.R.D was added in. Because those little glimpses of things being out of sorts are what gives the show an edge. And I kind of feel like that edge is just a little bit dulled given how much explaining they've done.
Yeah. And again, that even though it's artistically dull for sure, it's what the audience wants. If you look online, it was the highest rated episode and all that. So even though they're not in production right now, they're like, yeah, I don't care. We're going to do this. This is what we think that they want. And apparently they do. So they're continuing that, which is fine. Luckily, you got a strong female lead for that. But when it comes to one thing that I want to briefly mention is they mention Captain Marvel, and they have Monica do a certain reaction to it, and she seems like, I don't want to talk about Captain Marvel. So that makes me think that she's going to have a somewhat juvenile reaction to, I think that there's going to be a point somewhere in the MCU, I doubt in this show, that she's going to confront Captain Marvel and say, why didn't you save my mom? And she's going to have like a breakdown scene. But I had to mention that. Yeah. I did like that they're figuring out what was the thing with her clothes, that she can make matter, or she needs to
something like that, or that there was confusion as to whether or not this world and everything in it was just an illusion, because Wanda can alter somebody's perception of what they're seeing. So Rambeau goes and like shoots at a pair of at her outfit that she was wearing when she was thrown
out of Westview,
right? And the bullets don't go through it. So the clothing isn't just being like mind altered; it was summoned into existence, and also it was summoned into existence out of something that was like impermeable. Yeah.
Which was important, and it made Kat Dennings' character ask, but how how is she coming up with all of these powers, because she was never able to do this before.
Yeah.
And I like that they are sprinkling more of a discussion of, because Agent Wu's character mentions that, well, you know, Wanda was an Avenger, and he goes, yeah, but didn't she start off helping Ultron? He goes, yeah, but Hayward goes, well, yeah, she's a villain, basically, is what they're saying. And they discuss more of the how is this, how is that aspect of it, and her intentions, and saying, but this kind of doesn't make sense, even though we understand that she is trying to bring back Vision and doesn't want us to interfere because she wants to have this life. But they are posing questions as to the why aspect, which makes me think there is larger things at work than just it's all Wanda. So I dig that they're bringing that up.
Well, the way that they're bringing it up bugs me, because it is a lot of it is just tying in more and more of the MCU, which again seems like a very kind of committee by design sort of direction, because I think that for new viewers it doesn't land. Because it's just spoken, and it's spoken quickly, and
new viewers is going to lose their attention.
Yeah,
like, well, I don't care about that.
And I guess it is there for people who want to see the puzzle pieces connected and all of the DNA tied back together for like these overarching universal stuff. But I just look at that and I think of the time that could have been used to develop something that's really special internally in the show.
Or you don't have to explain what happened in the past. Like, you can only, I would dig it more if it was more of, like, personally, when it comes to, because I'm looking through it through two different views, and that is a big fan of the MCU and enjoying a continuation, but also appreciating its internal artistic endeavors a lot more. And at first, as the show was developing and as it was progressing, it adapts each episode, obviously, but it was a lot less. It was just like, oh, remember, it was more winks to MCU,
right? Where
now it is
everything is connected. It's all the red everything's thread connected on the bulletin board. And
and like if you don't know what we're talking about, then that makes the show way more confusing, and that's somewhat unfair to the new viewers because they have to like go back and watch these things, especially when it comes to the ending. But was there anything you wanted? Are you gone?
I think that honestly, all that needs to be understood so far, given the setup, is Wanda has magic powers, essentially. We don't need to know where they come from. Vision is a robot man who can disguise himself. Wanda has created this town somehow. Vision died sometime prior, and Wanda is like hiding this from him or recreating a version of him. And also that Wanda's brother Pietro, who shows up at the end of the episode, had died in movie as well. So those are just the touch points that need to be understood. We don't need to know her relation to her alliance between so-and-so or Captain Marvel's connection with all of this. Like, I get that's a little bit important to Rambeau, but it's so tertiary. Like, just come up with those core identifying factors of what's going to motivate a character and stick with them, rather than trying to like pull in every single connective tissue you can.
I will say that luckily the Captain Marvel stuff, it was only like one small conversation. That was enough of a wink and not like an important plot detail.
Yeah, I guess.
And I personally believe that when it comes to Wanda's past alliances with Hydra and whatnot, because you already know, you and the fans know that the fans, you and me, us, we know that. I think that I think that the alliance is actually very important to the person behind the red curtain or whatever, the person behind the curtain. I think that's why that they're trying to talk about that a little more with alliances. But if you're going to do it that way, don't say it in a boardroom. Don't throw it out really quickly. develop it, and I develop it in a different way.
Yeah, I
the
agree.
execution wasn't very good.
It comes down to how you deliver it, and when you deliver it in that like manic kind of almost like Mission Impossible style, where like you're just trying to get information across as fast as possible. So you're talking about a lot of like you're verbalizing names in relation to other names and events and things that we're not seeing. You're just saying it, and you're saying it really fast and moving on. Like that doesn't have the same kind of impact as if you were to organically like introduce it into a scene where the information was pivotal at that time.
Yeah, and you can even do it in breadcrumbs as the show progresses. I believe that what they're doing with, besides the reveal, which we'll get to in a second, I do think that how they're referencing Pietro is very good, because it was, I had a twin once. Yeah, maybe not Ultron killed him, right? Maybe somehow go over what happened with Ultron besides a boardroom meeting, but Pietro himself just, I had a brother, he died, and a different villain somehow killed him. They discussed it a little bit in the boardroom, but it was already like, we talked about this a little bit. We spelled it out for a character, and it didn't come out of nowhere. She had twins. It reminded her of her brother. So I thought like the execution of that was fine.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the alliances of Hydra and stuff, all you did to reference Hydra was those commercials. You just do it in a different way, I guess. But also, speaking of commercials, this time it was Lagos. And
oh my gosh, I forgot that commercial. Actually, that was another part that I really dug, specifically for the over-the-top sound design, where she's like, so they're showing off a brand of like paper towels, right? It's like Bounty, and those stupid Bounty commercials where it's like the competitor versus ours, and ours mops it up, and the competitor is just like sloppy and there's leftovers. So they take that and imitate it almost to a T, but there's all these like dripping goopy sound effects.
Yeah.
And like the goop being like pushed over the side and everything and not being mopped up. And it just like took that commercial and elevated it to a level of funny that's just absurd. It's like, let's take everything that normally
the
you wouldn't
audience
even
is
think
familiar
about
with,
and like let's dial it up just by adding in like some gross noises.
I dug that a lot too. And I like one thing about these commercials is that they don't reinvent, they elevate, as you say, but like the clumsy husband that knocks over something and he's like, oh, and of course it was a glass of beer,
right?
And it just didn't look like it was supposed to be there because it was in the middle of the day, and it was weird, but it was funny. But when it comes to MCU wise, do you know what Lagos is?
No, I don't.
It was a city that Wanda destroyed. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So they're relating it, and it is somewhat Hydra related because it involves Wanda's past and her evilness. So who knows? Maybe this is another personality. But in any case, I'm glad that they didn't walk away from the commercial thing.
Yeah.
But there is a grand finale that shocked many viewers that I don't know if you understand fully, because I don't know if you're familiar with the X-Men.
I'm somewhat familiar. I know that Scarlet Witch, Wanda, her brother was Quicksilver, right? In essence, they couldn't call him Quicksilver in Age of Ultron because Fox had the rights to X-Men. So they were, I don't know if they gave him another name or if he was just Pietro. Did they cast a different actor at the end of this?
Okay. So when Age of Ultron came out, it may have been the same year, X-Men Days of Future Past came out, where they introduced their Quicksilver.
That's right. Yeah.
And since they had the right, they can call him Quicksilver, and that Quicksilver was a lot more popular for two reasons. One, it was Evan Peters, who shows up at the end of this episode as
no
Quicksilver.
Kidding. Okay, so that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, and two, because he was just more likable, and they did really. Did you see Days of Future Past?
I like Days of Future Past quite a lot.
The best scene in it was the Quicksilver scene. Mm-hmm. So they had that, and now in this future, Disney, as it slowly creates Earth into one full Disney world, owns the rights to X-Men. So now they can do whatever they want. And if you follow the news of the future and interviews with Kevin Feige, I don't know his last name. Feige, God, so easy, Tony. If you follow the interviews of that, he says, yeah, we will bring the X-Men in. Don't worry about it. Technically, we've already brought the X-Men in, and we have one because she is very big. I'm not sure she is an X-Men.
Basically.
Anyways, but now, because first of all, the reveal of the back of his head, the first thing I thought was, I don't think the actor's going to show up, because the actor in Age of Ultron, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, he's more of a serious actor, and it just didn't seem like his vibe to like return to this character. Mm-hmm. But then it reveals to be Evan Peters, and like to the viewer that knows nothing about X-Men or the MCU or whatever, all they say is, why did she recast Pietro? And it is very important, because this is a way for them to begin the X-Men experience. And also, this could be because this is all leading to like more of a multiverse type of deal, which I'm not going to get completely into right now.
Baby Yoda will show up at some point.
Baby Yoda will show up. Yeah. Gandalf will show up. both Martin Freeman and Ian Holmes, Bilbo Baggins will show up. It's gonna be a while, but this is all leading to a multiverse, to where the two things I'll mention are the next Tom Holland Spider-Man is going to have Andrew Garfield Spider-Man and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
It's going to be their own Into the Spider-Verse.
Correct.
Buddy. Okay.
What I believe they're doing with this is, I don't think they're going to bring back all of the X-Men. They're using Evan Peters' Quicksilver to connect this. Okay. And I believe that this is opening up, like, yeah, there are different dimensions, and Fox's X-Men was a dimension, but it's not the core dimension, but we're starting to assimilate them together. Gotcha. So I believe that that's really, really cool. I also liked, back to grounding it, I liked that there's a breach in Westview. Well, is it coming out? No, it's going in, and it's very, very quick. But Pietro acts like he's part of the show. Like,
right. He's dressed like in 80s get up, and aren't you? Don't you have a hug for your brother or something? Mm-hmm. Aren't you happy to see your brother? Yeah.
Yes, and I love that, because Wanda and Vision are going to try to be like, Pietro, you're supposed to be dead. And even though whatever Quicksilver is doing there, he's not going to be able to remember why he's there. He's going to be like, what? I'm just visiting my sister. And it's going to be very frustrating for them to be like, no, what the fuck is going on? Why are you here? I like that when you enter into Westview, that your memory is fucked up to where it's hard for you to figure out what task you have at hand. But it also confirms that Monica's mindset because everyone gets under Wanda's spell, but which means Vision might be able to wake him up out of it, actually, because he woke him up out of his coworker. But I like that. And I thought it was really, really cool to connect everything. And it was a very interesting ending. But I'm very excited for next week.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, I mean, that's about all I've got to say about the episode. Even though this will be our shortest episode, maybe. I honestly thought we can get through only 15 minutes, but then I got a little more into it. But
as
with all of our conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. Next week will be it should reach the 90s decade. Mm-hmm. So my thinking is it's going to be Seinfeld or Fresh Prince of Bel-Air-esque. I can't think of many sitcoms that are like it. but I am looking very forward to it. Are you looking forward to it, or are you more skeptical?
Even if the show is like slump, in my opinion, it never lost me or anything. I'm still on board here. So,
that's good.
Especially as I've seen that there's still some consistency in an authorial voice. Like that's what Disney continues to get right, is that like even when I get frustrated with like the over Marvelification of some of their films, they still retain just enough of the original director's voice, much like Thor Ragnarok, and like how much Taika Waititi's input was in there versus how much was like clearly just Disney Marvel satisfaction. They still managed to keep just enough of the original voice in that and in this for me to keep watching. So,
yes, I believe this is a very good example. And Thor Ragnarok, I think Thor Ragnarok, they were like, you know what, we need to start trusting into the Helmer's vision, as opposed to trying to control them.
I think that they've always been pretty good about that, and I think that the real test for them, the first real test for that, was bringing on James Gunn to direct Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, you're right. That's a bigger one for sure. But when they replaced Edgar Wright, when they parted ways, which he recently said that they buried the hatchet. When I found that out, I'm like, see, they're more about their thing than they are about trying new things. But I believe that they regretted that, and not regretted it because I like Ant-Man's. But in any case, I think that they're more like, you know what? We're still in control, but let's give this more to them, and I think it's working out beautifully.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll continue that. Until next week, my name is Tony,
and my name is Dan.
Thank you for watching. See you next week.
See ya.